AI Form Filler is a chat application. It's a web app that actually automatically fills a form while chatting with the user. In this case, it's designed to fill up a resume, but you can actually fill out any type of forms. Let's start talking with it. Okay, I'm just going to start by saying, hi there, my name is Echo Hive. And when we get a response, we also have the name field filled right here. I've added your name to your resume. Could you provide your email address? We can also speak to it. My email is test@test.com. You can send that. And once we receive a response, okay, it wants to receive it with the @ symbol. That's fine. Let's send it like that. Here you go. It wrote the email. Now it's asking us some contact number. Let's just give it a normal number. I mean, a made up number. And it says that, could you clarify, say, phone number? I know it's more than, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. Just make up a number. There you go. It wrote the phone number. Wanted a brief summary. So we can actually say, I'm just going to make up some stuff. I worked at Intel as a chip designer from 2020 to 2022. So it downloaded as a markdown. So this is very useful. Obviously, if you have any kind of form to be filled while chatting with a user, you can fill it out and you display the information to user so they can actually make changes before submitting it or downloading it. So it can be modified to be any type of form. So we'll be reviewing the code, but these code files will be available at my Patreon. And if you do become a paying patron, you will not only have access to this project, but also 300 other source codes for other projects, interesting and useful projects. Also, I've built this in my architect members weekly AMA meeting. If you do become an architect patron, you'll be able to attend those. But I've also put the video on how I built this from scratch to my 1000x cursor course. This is the 28th chapter. I was able to build this in about half an hour. So I'll put a link to my 1000x cursor course in the description in the comments as well if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it. So I will be overviewing the Python code here. And then we'll be taking a look at the index.html and the rest of it, the JavaScript, which is quite long, will be reviewed by my AI code explainer. But let's begin with the main.py. So, of course, we have all of our imports. We have actually models.py, which uses Pydantic to define some structured outputs because we are using OpenAI structured outputs. For example, education is going to include institution, degree, field, start date, end date, experience, skill, resume data. Essentially, resume data brings all of these together, such as education, experience, and skill. And resume response is going to include the resume data and also a message. The message is designed to be the assistance message to the user. So we are actually making a single call. If you go to main.py, we are making a single call to handle both the structured outputs, the form filling, and the messages to the user. You can actually parallelize this if you like, but in this case, we just did it like that. Here from models, we are importing the resume response. We don't actually need the chat message. And here we are assigning our OpenAI API key, starting our Fast API app. All throughout the process, we are printing exactly what is happening. So we can see the process. This is good for debugging and information purposes. We are initializing a course middleware. We are mounting the static files from the folder and then set up the templates because we're going to serve the index.html as an HTML response. We have imported that up here. So we're going to start a WebSocket endpoint defined as app.websocket. This WebSocket endpoint is going to connect and accept the connection, and it's going to receive text from the front end, which is whatever the user types into the text box. And when it receives it, it's going to essentially just send it to OpenAI to get a response, both as a message and as the form elements. So it says the system messages, you're a friendly AI assistant. helping create a resume. Your responses should be natural and conversational. Your messages will be displayed directly to the user in this chat interface. We send the current state of the resume so it doesn't ask for the same information, right? When you receive information, update the resume data fields with new information. Provide a friendly confirmation message. Ask follow-up questions about missing information. If you update a field, specify which field was updated. And here is some example response. Then we call the client.beta.chat, as you can see, because we are calling um, the API endpoint for structured outputs, and .parse, because we're going to be using the response format as a Pydantic object. That's why. So all of the parsing and everything is handled for us, and the response is going to be in the form of a resume response. So that is what we have defined, and we're going to receive a response exactly as defined as here. And resume data is as defined in the resume data, and education, experience, and skills is defined in their respective Pydantic models. Okay, and when we receive that response, message.parse is going to parse it, and response data is going to be an object which we can then convert it to a dictionary. It is actually being deprecated. You can use model underscore dump. This is an object and it has methods. If you actually search for model, see there's model.dump object. That would have been actually more desirable, but this is how cursor wrote it. Oh, okay. So that's that. And then we print that we have successfully processed the message, and using the WebSocket, we sent the JSON as the response data. Unless there's an exception, we print those. And here in our route, we serve the index.html as a template. That's about it. And in the main portion, we run in the Unicorn server. You can run the Unicorn server from your terminal by typing Unicorn run main : app and things like that. But if you can also run it like this if you import Unicorn. So this is the way to run it. In the index.html is very simple. Actually, there's two sections: the chat section and the resume preview section, which is the side panel. So here we just have a text area and some button. And the resume section will be populated here by the app.js, and the styles is here. It's very minimal. So this is about it. And the rest of the code, the JavaScript, is going to be overviewed and explained by the AI code explainer that I've written. It's a script that is available for my architect patrons. The link for that is in the description and in the comment as well. So you can actually download it if you like. Do let me know if you like the AI Code Explainer's explanations. Give me some feedback. And if you do decide to become a patron, I appreciate your support.
This snippet sets up some initial objects and variables that are crucial to the AI Resume Builder application. Firstly, we have a WebSocket object WS that will be used to communicate with the server for real-time updates. The current resume state object initializes an empty state for a user's resume, setting up a neat zero-ed template ready to be filled with relevant information, just like a clean slate that's waiting for some impressive data to wear. Then we have the setup for WebKit speech recognition, which is essentially a personal assistant that listens continuously and provides interim in-progress results. This can decide whether it's talking too much or too little. This feature is a major player when it comes to voice commands, adding a hands-free layer to the app. Lastly, isRecording is a handy toggle to manage the current recording state, either quiet as a mouse or noisy like a conference. Overall, these parts lay the groundwork for handling data updates and inputs. This function, Connect WebSocket, is the nerve center of real-time communication in our app. It establishes a WebSocket connection to the server at WS localhost 8000/ws/chat. Through this channel, Santa's elves, or rather the server, send the latest updates and information as JSON-formatted messages. The onMessage event handler listens for incoming messages and attempts to parse them. If successful, it updates the chat UI and merges any new resume data with the existing state, reflecting these changes in the resume preview. Handling errors gracefully, both due to JSON parsing issues or when the server snickers by closing or disrupting the connection, is also a highlight here. The app makes a noble attempt at reconnection every 5 seconds if the channel closes, its persistence personified. This WebSocket connection is essential, as it ensures that immediate user feedback and interaction is possible without waiting on page loads or form submissions. enhancing user experience in our interactive resume building adventure. Now we have the Update Chat function, which ensures our chat interface is continuously updated and interactive. It's akin to the chatty friend who fills the conversation with the latest gossip, except this friend uses the information from the WebSocket connection. The function takes a response object and checks if there's an error. If there's one, it wraps it up in a red bubble with the chat bubble error class. Otherwise, it beholds the good news or new information within a primary colored bubble, enhancing the supportive vibe of the app. These chat bubbles are neatly appended to the chat section to display the dialogue with the user. Plus, the scrolling feature ensures we don't miss juicy details by always showing the most recent interaction. This feature optimizes user communication by enhancing their chatting experience while interfacing with our resume app. Update your wardrobe without lifting a finger. Well, perhaps not quite, but this function does a splendid job automating updates to the visual resume preview whenever there are new pieces of information. Update Resume Preview is tasked with dynamically modifying the DOM elements to reflect changes in our resume data, which keeps everything current and coherent. It pores over each section of the resume, from full name to skills, and checks whether there's updated data to show. If there is, it neatly inserts the new details into the corresponding input fields and divs, which become visible to the user. Naturally, our function also boasts a touch of flair. It highlights recently modified fields with a brief animation, ensuring busy users know exactly which part of their digital resume got spiffed up. Thus, this function keeps our resume displaying fresh as a daisy and ensures any changes are immediately apparent to users.
I would like to take a moment to talk about the benefits of becoming a patron. As some of you may know, in the last year and a half, I've spent 3,000 hours, over 300 projects as a patron. You will have access to all the code files so you can get inspiration and iterate quickly. Another benefit is that you'll have access to all my courses. And my most recent and most proud one, the 1000x Masterclass, teaching what I've learned on how to code fast and efficiently. Also the Streamlit course and the Fast API course. In my Patreon, I also have tiers in which you can connect with me one-on-one. Check those out as well.
Enter the chapter on rendering. These functions, render education, render experience, and render skills, are the master artists behind the visual display of resume sections based on the data provided. Each function takes an array, education, experience, or skills, as input and creates HTML dynamically to represent each item. Render Education specializes in unfolding each piece of educational prowess by generating inputs for institutions' degrees, fields, and other factoids like start and end dates, occasionally showing off a GPA as well. Meanwhile, Render Experience captures the essence of professional escapades, conjuring inputs for companies, positions, and the corresponding periods of duty, with a bonus section for descriptive achievements and responsibilities. Finally, Render Skills unabashedly flaunts the cool skill set of our users, neatly categorizing specific skills so they can be dutifully admired. In essence, these functions provide a comprehensive visual breakdown of important resume components, ensuring detailed information is both accessible and editable. Through their usage, we transform raw data into a delightful, interactive user experience. The Send Message function is our communication courier. It packages up your chat message along with the current resume state into a JSON object and sends it off through the WebSocket. It's a sophisticated pigeon that sends not just text, but also the current state of your digital shenanigans resume to the server. Next, we have something just as exciting with the Update Mic Status function. This function takes the isActive parameter to toggle the state of the microphone, visually represented on the UI by a button. When the mic is active, the button becomes animated with a pulse effect and changes its icon to signify recording. Behold, it turns red. When the mic isn't active, it returns to its dormant state. Who wouldn't love a button with a personality? This feature provides direct visual feedback on whether speech recognition is operational, enhancing user interactivity while ensuring our app doesn't miss a word said. These three event listeners are hands down the stars of user interactivity in the app. They wait patiently like a resolute puppy for user clicks on the specific buttons, bringing the app to life with actions. The first listener manages the microphone button, the user's bridge to speech recognition. It toggles recording on a click, starting or stopping it based on the is recording state, serenading the button lifestyle again. The second listener eagerly awaits a click on the send button to trigger send user message, sending the typed message down the virtual rabbit hole of chat interaction. Lastly, the download event listener cheerily jumps into action to convert the neatly curated resume into a markdown document and initiates its download onto the user's device. Tailored to empower users with hands-on tools, these listeners drive the pivotal interactions of recording, sending messages, and downloading resumes. The Convert to Markdown function is your ticket from digital to document. It takes all of the information bundled up in current resume state and skillfully transmutes it into a markdown format, a popular, lightweight markup language perfect for documents that read well on screens and printouts alike. Think of it as a publishing wizard that transforms the invisible reserves of your online resume into a tangible asset. This transformation includes carefully segmenting headers for each section like education and experience, elegantly structuring contact info, and throwing in some markdown syntax blouse, bullets, stars, and hashtags to ensure everything is properly arranged. In essence, this little magic helper function structures and beautifies all the critical information in your resume to be muscle-flexingly ready for download or sharing, not just holding up the back-end structure, but making the transition delightful and professional at the same time. The pièce de résistance of downloading, download markdown. This function receives a markdown string, creates a file on the fly, and helps you offer it to the user for download, much like an over-caffeinated author waving their freshly printed thesis in a library. It smartly uses the blob object to encapsulate the markdown content into a downloadable file. With a little assistance from the URL create object URL method, it conjures up a downloadable link. The download default name is set to the individual's full name, appended with the term resume.md to avoid any doubts whatsoever about the hero file's contents. You notice this entire mysterious ordeal is wrapped up with auto-click magic, creating, triggering, and removing a link within moments. This function is essential because, let's face it, a resume isn't just meant to be seen. It's meant to be shared, printed, and admired. Testing. This is the speech recognition segment bringing artificial intelligence into the fold. These handlers are all about controlling and responding to the speech recognition process, keeping tabs on when it started, ended, or when errors crop up. The on-start and one-end handlers seamlessly integrate with update mic status, toggling the visual indicator to inform users if the mic is active. Meanwhile, the on-result handler constantly monitors speech results as they pour in. It differentiates between interim results, those ever indulging in pause breaks, and final results, the serious holes, appending recognized speech to the final transcript. Should any errors arise, particularly microphone access issues, the on-roar handler gracefully outputs the error to the console and cautions the user, emphasizing on permissions. Ultimately, this section ensures the app can convert speech to text, enhancing accessibility and user experience by allowing them to contribute to their resumes hands-free. Here we encounter user interactivity through keystrokes, taking chatting skills to the next level. The key-down event listener attached to the input field saves precious seconds by allowing users to send messages with the Enter key, while Shift-Enter lets them craft multi-line masterpieces. It's the difference between a chat shortcut pro and someone stuck deleting accidental lines. Send User Message handles sending these crafted messages. It adds the user's messages as bubbles on the chat, in addition to dispatching them via the WebSocket. This ensures real-time interaction on both the client and server side, making users feel validated by seeing their message poised in the chat window. A delightful helper auto-resized text area is intertwined with the input event, dynamically sizing the message input field to fit user text without succession into hideous scroll bars. This segment ensures users enjoy a seamless message composition and delivery experience, ensuring they are free from visual discrepancies and unintentionally dispatched notes. Simplicity in texting has never been so enjoyable.
I would like to take a moment to talk about the benefits of becoming a patron. As some of you may know, in the last year and a half, I've spent 3,000 hours, over 300 projects as a patron. You will have access to all the code files so you can get inspiration and iterate quickly. Another benefit is that you'll have access to all my courses. And my most recent and most proud one, the 1000x Masterclass, teaching what I've learned on how to code fast and efficiently. Also the Streamlit course and the Fast API course. In my Patreon, I also have tiers in which you can connect with me one-on-one. Check those out as well.
Now, listen to me. I've been trying to code, and I like coding. The fact that I can code and make things happen, but how do I do it? I mean, fast with AI. I'd heard about it. It's easy. So, I came across 1000x cursor course. And that's great, it just made everything super silky smooth. It just worked. I'm telling you.
1000x your coding.